Hello everyone, I'm Ash Barber, zooming in from Ghanaland in Adelaide, Australia. I'm an academic librarian and a member of the Open Education Conference Board of Directors. And I'm honoured to introduce this year's brilliant opening keynote speakers, James Glapa-Grossklag and Joy Shoemate. James has been deeply involved in open education since 2008. His day job is as an academic dean at College of the Canyons, a California community college. He also coordinates the California Community College's ZTC degree program, the largest ever public investment in OER. He is an OER Fellow for the Mickelson 20mm Foundation, and he co-leads with the Community College Consortium for OER, the Open for Anti-Racism program. Joy is Director of Online Education at College of the Canyons, leading the college's OER program. Joy previously served on the Executive Council of the Community College Consortium for OER. She is also a facilitator for the online network of educators known as @ONE, the leading professional development network for the California community colleges. She co-developed and co-facilitates the Open for Anti-Racism course. As you can probably tell, the board invited James and Joy to deliver the conference's opening keynote because they embody this year's theme, It's About Time. Every day, they empower others to take the next step in equitable open education. They equip both students and faculty to be creators, contributors, and critical thinkers in their learning and teaching. They challenge and catalyze others to challenge conventional boundaries. And they show us how practicing open education can be an act of resistance, driving social justice and building a community-informed vision of the future, where education is truly open, inclusive, and transformative for all. So without further ado, I now ask you all to help me welcome to the stage James Glapa-Grossklag and Joy Shoemate.
You want the slides up? All right, good morning, OpenEd24. Good morning, Providence. Good morning, Zoomland. Holy cow. It's about time we're together again. And thank you, I'll just echo the thanks that were expressed before. Thank you to Nicole Allen. Thank you to the board of the conference. Thank you to all of the reviewers and everybody who helped put together this amazing event. Thank you to everybody who's supporting the hybrid event. Thanks to our friend Ash Barber for the great introduction and supporting our colleagues who are joining us on Zoom. You know, at the college, we did one hybrid event.
Just one.
And we said,
Never
again. It is really hard. So thanks everybody for your patience and your grace with the hybrid format. It's a thrill to be here. It's heartwarming to see so many friends in the audience, and all of you could be up here doing this too. And it's really humbling to know that there are people in the audience whose work has deeply, profoundly impacted the way that we think about the world. So we've come to you today with no claim to originality. Our goal is to reflect your words and your work back to you as our community. And in the spirit of remixing and reusing, right? Very liberally. So, Joy, what are we going to do today?
Exactly. Well, we are going to celebrate.
We're gonna wait for the clicker to work. There we go. Okay. Whoops. Okay. One click. One. Are you clicking or am I clicking? You're clicking. Okay.
Thank you. Well, we will celebrate the fact that we are here together. We're going to celebrate where we have come as a field. We're going to take a quick trip down memory lane and review the history of open education. We heard from many of you what you feel Open Ed is resisting. So we're going to highlight and amplify your words that you shared with us. And then we're going to conclude by challenging you all. So hope you'll stay with us here.
Yes. So the last time we were together in person was 2019 in Phoenix. Thank you, Lisa, and the Maricopa crew for hosting that. Before that, we were in Niagara Falls, 2018. And how many of you remember this? Nicole Allen up on this proverbial stage announcing that the collective we had saved our students $1 billion through the use of open educational resources. Was anybody there? Some of us were there. It's amazing. And it's amazing to think that was the collective us. individuals acting together, sometimes alone, but all of us acting not without some central state telling us what to do, not with some conglomerate corporation telling us what to do, goodness knows, but we accomplish this. It's pretty remarkable. So there's a lot more good news to celebrate about where we are as a field. It's an incredibly vital, healthy field today, open education. We also see the just stunning number of regional and state summits, OER summits, open education summits. I think I got the Northeast OER summit email last night. So, you know, there's just so much great stuff happening out there around the country that, again, we are collectively putting together. We are organizing, we are hosting, we're lifting up our own work, which is fantastic, not doing it, you know, with some central command.
Correct.
So lots of great things happening in our field. Out in California, you might know that we are fortunate to enjoy a $115 million investment by the state in the California community colleges. Amazing. Absolutely. So shout out to all the California folks waking up on Zoom today, waking up, tuning in. Thanks for being here. It's great news in California. We've awarded so far $46 million in grants to our California community colleges, to our 115 community colleges, to develop zero textbook cost pathways to serve our 2 million students. And currently, our colleges are working on over 400 programs. So lots of great news coming out of California and lots of dollar signs, right? I mean, that's a big number.
Lots of money.
And our colleges will be saving students a lot of money, and that is absolutely positively one of the things that our legislature wanted as an outcome, dollar savings for students. So that's important, absolutely. But that's not the only thing, right? There's much more. We heard, I think Lindsay made reference to social justice, and we saw equity come up in the Mentimeter exercise. So another sign of the health of our field is the really maturing and evolving research agenda. You can see, here's a screenshot of an article that really impressed me recently. Virginia Clinton, Jasmine Roberts-Cruz, and Lindsay also expanded on what many of us were raised with in OER, the COOP framework, right? Cost, outcomes, understanding, and perceptions. We were sort of brought up to think that's the way you think about impact. But these colleagues have expanded that to include social justice and engagement. So I really encourage you to check out this article, particularly for our first timers here. There are so many first timers, which is great news. Please check out this article and get a glimpse of what we can be doing to understand our impact. So there's great work out there. And if we go back to the early days of open education and thinking about open education, we see that it wasn't always about dollar signs. This is a screenshot from one of the early works by Mike Smith and Kathy Casserly with the Hewlett Foundation, The Promise of OER, 2006. They spoke about the importance of the world's knowledge being a public good, and also the opportunity that the World Wide Web would bring to everyone to reuse and share that knowledge. And I don't know if that's what we think of the World Wide Web as today, but it wasn't all about dollar signs, right? The Cape Town Declaration in 2008, also a seminal work in the early days of open education, spoke about freedom to use and learn without constraints. Today, with platform capitalism and open washing, it's difficult to really think about using material without constraint, particularly for our students who are exposed to digital surveillance all the time. And the Cape Town Declaration also spoke about participatory culture, which is terrific, going back to engagement. But again, it wasn't always about the dollar signs, right? The dollar signs are important. We understand that. And there's so much more that we can do. And the roots also go back even farther, don't they, Joy?
Exactly. Well, these calls for knowledge to be openly available and accessible to all really have their roots in other fields beyond open education. So we've learned from our good friend and great scholar, Dr. Jasmine Roberts-Cruz, about that intersection between what Black feminist pedagogy is calling for and what we all are trying to accomplish here in open education. So a big thanks to Dr. Jasmine Roberts-Cruz. So, and her great work. Yes. So we know that Black feminist pedagogy tells us that educational systems are patriarchal. Surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise.
Surprise.
Still.
That white feminist pedagogy often ignores the intersection of race and class.
Newsflash.
And that some Black educational thought, once again, is patriarchal and ignores the gendered and racialized realities of Black women and girls. But we can take this a step further. And Maya Angelou shares with us that all information belongs to everybody all the time. It should be available. It should be accessible to the child, to the woman, to the man, to the old person, to the semi-literate, to the presidents of the universities, to everyone. It should be open.
This could be the Cape Town Declaration.
It could be.
Yeah.
It sounds as if Maya Angelou is an open educator. We'll move on. Bell Hooks tells us that multiculturalism compels all of us educators to recognize the narrow boundaries that have shaped the way knowledge is shared in the classroom. It forces us all to recognize our complicity in accepting and perpetuating biases of any kind.
And this idea of complicity always makes me think about the words of Robin DeRosa, who wrote in 2015. It's kind of intimidating. She's sitting right there. That we don't want to be part of a movement that focuses on replacing static, overpriced textbooks with static, free textbooks. And then in my head, I also think, I don't want to be a part of a movement that replaces pricey white supremacy and patriarchy with free white supremacy and patriarchy, right? So the point is that our roots in open education are in resistance. Our roots come out of resistance, not out of dollar signs. So to continue quoting Robin, she wrote, textbooks, if we don't re-theorize them, have generally been repositories for the master's ideas. And of course, again, with her sitting here, it's kind of, I'm going out on a limb. I think she was echoing Audre Lorde, who wrote, for the master's tools will never dismantle the master's house. They may allow us to temporarily beat him at his own game, but they will never enable us to bring about genuine change. So again, the roots are in resistance, and that's a good place to be. We see here some symbols of resistance through the 20th century, early 21st century. So of course, on the left-hand side, you see what maybe historians will know as the Guy Fawkes mask from the failed 1615 gunpowder plot, but that's just me as an historian. Most of us will know that mask, associate that with the hacktivist group Anonymous, or the Occupy movement, or the movie V for Vendetta, or the original graphic novel V for Vendetta, in which a group of anarchists was trying to resist an authoritarian regime. On the other side of the screen, you see the peace symbol. We don't see the peace symbol often enough these days, I suppose, but we see the peace symbol. This came out of the Campaign for Nuclear Disarmament in England. It was created in 1958. It was quickly reproduced as buttons and pins, and because it was never copyrighted or trademarked, it easily made its way across the Atlantic, where it became associated with the anti-war peace movement in the United States. And then in the middle there, you'll see the pussy hat to represent women's rights. That emerged in 2016 in advance of the Women's March on Washington in 2017. And James, we're about a month away. I hope we're not grabbing for those in a month. No, let us hope that we shall not be grabbing. Yeah. Indeed. Yeah. Indeed. Another symbol we all know for resistance is the raised fist, of course, and has been used a lot throughout history. In the 20th century, early 20th century, it was used by the IWW, or the Wobblies, a good old-fashioned anarchist labor union that was fighting the good fight against the employer class. They used it as a symbol of solidarity. Later in the 20th century, it was used by communists and socialists as the red salute, fighting against fascists. Later in the century, it was used by Tommy Smith and
John Carlos.
John Carlos. I always mess up those names. Tommy Smith and John Carlos as a symbol of Black power and Black resistance at the 1968 Mexico City Olympics. So again, good place to be in resistance with these examples. And of course, we present to you a symbol of resistance for open education that we can embrace thanks to our very good friend, Jonathan Poritz. I know some of you have Jonathan's sticker of this symbol on your laptops or somewhere, but we thank Jonathan greatly for this symbol lending itself to our talk.
Yeah.
So we need resistance now more than ever. We are in the poly crisis. You can see the definition of the poly crisis over on the side of the screen there. Great disagreement, confusion, suffering, or today's news cycle, right? It's just today's news cycle. But the weight of the world is on us. And here we're stealing liberally from Catherine Cronin. I don't know, is Catherine in the room? Did Catherine make it? Catherine Cronin and Laura Chernevich and their terrific keynote at the OER24 conference in Cork, Ireland, in which they used the poly crisis as the launch of their great talk. But it's a heavy time, so we need resistance more than ever.
Exactly. So we asked some of you to share with us what aspects of the poly crisis you feel open education is resisting. And what you shared with us is that open education is resisting capitalism, climate change, the lack of faith in democracy, and the master's narratives. So as it relates to capitalism, what you told us is that open education is resistance to the economic power imbalance where only the economically powerful get access to information. To me, this really echoes Maya Angelou's quote.
Yeah.
Next, you shared that you're resisting corporate profiteering and one-size-fits-all course materials that don't reflect our student body.
And as it pertains to climate change, you told us that open education in this moment calls for a shared climate literacy and new cultures of empowerment to act together. And you said, let's all be ambassadors for connecting open practices in climate access, open access to rapidly developing and age-old knowledge. We can do that with openly licensed knowledge.
Exactly. And in terms of maybe the lack of faith in democracy, you shared that open education is not a spectator sport. It requires active participation, and that you're resisting the ways that historically dominant narratives and perspectives about what's true strive to retain power and exclude other voices.
And you told us that regarding the master narrative, you are resisting colonial hegemony, racism, and capitalism that continues to marginalize our students. You empower students to create knowledge, particularly in environments where their culture and identities are marginalized. We are learning with and from our students, and then we can resist the colonization of the educational system. And together, we hope, our resistance is building a future where the next generations will be free to access knowledge, learn, think, and live. So this is, again, your words coming back.
Continuing with dismantling the master's tools, we're resisting the idea that we are trapped in systems that fail us. And we're resisting institutional control over teaching because open ed challenges institutional control over pedagogical choices.
Absolutely, absolutely. And a concluding voice from the field. Resistance, you told us, is the lifeblood and heartbeat of the open movement. Resisting the worst of the isms and phobias. You see them there on the screen. We live with them every day. That are so quick to give up our individual and collective joys for the sake of power and progress. Well, what would progress look like for us? What are we trying to achieve? And here again, stealing liberally from others, from Cheryl Hodgkinson Williams' fantastic keynote at OE Global 2019, we want to create an economy in which we share resources equitably. We want a culture in which we include diverse histories, cultures, and languages. And we want a democracy. We want to create or defend a democracy in which we participate inclusively. That's what we're aiming for, I think, in this field and as educators.
Now, James, that sounds really great.
Yep.
And maybe even a little bit idealistic.
Yes.
So we're going to share now with you some practical examples of how many of you here and a program that we help to lead are actively resisting. So first, we're going to share with you the Open for Anti-Racism program. James and I have the honor of leading that along with CCC OER. So I know Heather is somewhere, Heather Blitcher in the audience. Yes, thank you for your leadership. Our program is generously funded by the Hewlett Foundation. So a big thanks for their support. This program was founded to test two propositions. One is that faculty want to make their teaching and learning anti-racist, but they need the space to learn how to do that. And also that open education can be the tools to help make teaching anti-racist. So the program is made up of teams of faculty from the California Community College system. They also have support from administrators at their college. The goal here is that the faculty engaging in this really difficult work have wraparound support, not just in the program, but also on their campuses, because as all of us know in this room, it's really difficult to engage in open ed work if no one supports you. So especially when you add in a layer of anti-racism, we want to build a program that supports faculty with this work, but also make sure they're receiving the institutional support for their good work. So the program first starts with a learning opportunity where these faculty move through a course. They learn about things like anti-racist pedagogy, but also things like OER and open pedagogy, because many are new to open education as a field. They conclude their learning experience with an action plan. So a commitment to making a change in their course in the immediate next semester. That's really important because I don't know about you, but a lot of times I'll engage in professional development opportunities and I walk away feeling really inspired. And then I see all the emails in my inbox and that inspiration very quickly dwindles and I get sucked into the machine of my work once again. So in this program, we really emphasize this commitment to action by developing an action plan and making changes immediately in your teaching. We offer ongoing support in the form of coaching and webinars, and then we conclude with collecting data because we want to be able to document the impact of this work. So on the screen, you'll see our working definition of anti-racist pedagogy. Again, James and I are by no means experts in this work, and this definition continues to evolve for us and for the educators in which we work in this program. But it calls for us to be explicitly race conscious and to recognize our own identity and position and power and privilege, to think systemically and structurally, to really analyze and reflect on our discipline's history. So whose voice is included in our disciplines? And how is knowledge defined in our disciplines? This also gives us an opportunity to include diverse voices and perspectives and invite students to contribute. So hopefully you're seeing here the very clear intersection between open education and anti-racist pedagogy. So these are an example of two webinars, two of many that we host to support our faculty colleagues as they're moving through the OFAR program. On the left, you'll see was sharing data and research updates on the transfer success and also challenges that Black and African American students face transferring from community colleges to four-year institutions. And then on the right, again, a shout out to Dr. Jasmine Roberts-Cruz, who shared with all of our participants really that intersection between Black feminist pedagogy, again, anti-racist pedagogy, and the clear intersection between what those are calling for and what we're trying to achieve here in open education. So we'll share with you a couple of examples of some of the activities that our faculty participants have implemented in their own coursework. You'll see here a picture of Dr. Deborah Crumpton. She teaches business classes at a community college in California, and particularly for her marketing course, she went through a pretty significant revision of an activity that many marketing students might go through, which is to analyze marketing campaigns. What she did was she revised that activity to specifically have them look at particular marketing campaigns. Just a note, some of the images might be a little disturbing for some. So we will share some of the marketing campaigns that she had her students critically analyze. This was intentional because she scaffolded this experience before students had to develop their own marketing plans. So instead of just going out and analyzing any old marketing campaigns, she wanted her students to be critical of what already exists and how can they build better campaigns and be thoughtful about the messaging that is coming out of these campaigns that these students are building themselves. Our next example is from Professor Oliver Rosales. He teaches in a migrant community in rural California, and he challenged his students to create an archive that told the history of that area of California and told their family's history. That is a significant part of California's history and our economy that is left out completely when we talk about the foundations of our state. So his students got to contribute pictures and stories from their families about how they have shaped the state in which they're in. So again, that open pedagogical practice of working with students to create and build an archive that tells their stories, but tells a larger story and history of the state.
So Joy, you mentioned that we document the impact through a pretty rich research agenda. We won't go into all the details, but we want to share some of the highlights of our research over 4 years. We're just starting our 5th year, really just to make the point that we think this works. You know, this approach of integrating learning about anti-racist pedagogy with the tools that we know, OER and open pedagogy. So over 4 years, 89% of our faculty, 89% of the faculty participants said that participating in the program improved their anti-racist teaching practices. So pretty fantastic there. 75% of students over 4 years told us that the courses tapped into their cultural and racial identity to make the learning more meaningful to them. 100% of the supporting administrators said that they were providing institutional support, but I guess as a fellow administrator, I know how easy it is to, overstate. That's what we're trained to do, right? It's always sunny on our institution side of the street. Very exciting though is the last data point there, that on average, 14% there was a 14% increase in the self-confidence of the faculty participants to discuss topics of racism and anti-racism with their students. Prior to the program, they didn't feel confident. After the program, they felt confident. So that's a really great takeaway for us. Also, one of the sponsoring administrators told us, we have a group of faculty that are not supportive of DEI or anti-racist initiatives, and in fact, actively lobby to stop them. And this is in California. Can you imagine, other places? The more faculty we have with anti-racist skill sets, the more successful we will be in becoming an anti-racist college. And that's why we bring teams into the program and ask for them to have the support of their administration. Overall, over 4 years, for Black and Latinx students taking classes that were part of the implementation of the action plans, there was a 3.6% increase in their success rates compared to students in the same classes a year earlier. So the success rates going up for those students. Although I will say on that note, the first 2 years of our data were from the middle of COVID. So if there are any researchers in the audience, those those 2 years of data are kind of wonky. For our 4th year, we see 98% of our student participants, or the students in the classes of our participants, 98% said that they felt there were opportunities to provide their own perspectives and experiences. Again, open pedagogy in action. 98% agreed that instructors helped students to develop a sense of community. 88% felt more engaged compared to other classes, and 98% agreed that class discussions were valuable in appreciating different perspectives. So again, integrating the anti-racist pedagogy with the tools that we know of OER and open education seems to work across 4 years so far. And if this sounds interesting to you,
yes, you can adopt, adapt, pull apart these courses if you are interested. We have shared a facilitated and self-paced version in Canvas Commons. So you can find those links on the QR code there. We welcome you to pull the resources that we have already put together and do with it what you will, but we hope that this can make an impact on your campuses, and that you can pull from what already exists and spread this good word.
yes, and thank you to Ash Online for putting all the links to the resources in the chat. Really appreciate that, Ash.
Exactly. And we are quite humbled and very grateful to have been awarded the Open Education Award just last month, along with CCC OER. So while we do this work humbly, we are very grateful for the acknowledgement. So big thank you.
And we're very humbled also that colleagues around the country are adapting, again, in the spirit of reuse and remix. Colleagues around the country are adapting the OFAR program, or Open for Anti-Racism program. Our friend Cindy DeMica in Wisconsin Technical College system has integrated the Open for Anti-Racism course into her handbook, this very handsome press book here. She's integrated the OFAR course into the handbook about learning about OER for people who are in the system, just learning about OER. They're learning that OER goes hand in hand with anti-racism. So kudos to Cindy and the team in Wisconsin. Yes, yes, let's hear it. Let's hear it from Cindy.
Our friend Amanda Postel here from the Ohio State University has adopted and adapted the Open for Anti-Racism program into the Affordable Learning Exchange, which they built. So again, ensuring that learning about pushing beyond equity, but learning that anti-racism is just built into the process for faculty learning and taking part in the process of developing OER and open pedagogy. So a big thanks to Amanda. And fun fact, we actually met as a result of this conference online. So these are your people, this is your community. Please work together, because this is how we get to advance our work together. So a big thanks to you, Amanda.
Yeah. And then at Lehman College in the CUNY system, Stacy Katz back there, Stacy Katz and her colleague Sherry Deckman, they adopted and adapted the OFAR course for their professional development training that they're running out of the library there. And they published an article about it, which you see right here. So thank you to Stacy and the Lehman College crew for doing the good work.
And last but not least, our very good friend, Dr. Kim Gruey, who also helped co-develop and still co-facilitates the Open for Anti-Racism program. She works for Northern Virginia Community College. And as you might guess, they can't use the word anti-racism in Virginia. And you might be from states where this work is not exactly welcome. So Kim has adopted and taken and pulled from the Open for Anti-Racism program and course to develop her own Open for Inclusive Excellence program for her faculty. So again, she's using the words that are acceptable, but most importantly, she is training her faculty that from the very beginning, when they are brand new to the open community and open education, they are seeing this work as inclusive, equitable, and anti-racist work. So a big shout out to Kim Gruey for her leadership.
And a big shout out to all of those who contributed and gave us the great words that we've been sharing. Thanks to everybody here online. You see the names up here. We had plenty of anonymous who didn't want to be credited, but plenty of you are here. So thank you to everyone for giving us some smart things to say. And with that, we will leave you with the call that it's about time to resist, to lean in and embrace our roots in resistance, not just the dollar signs. As you see with the symbols again, it's good company to be in. And if you would, and our challenge to you is that I don't forget my line, but
All right.
our challenge to you is during the conference to find an ally, not just a friend. Find an ally during the conference. Take 5 minutes, talk with somebody, share how you are resisting in your work. What does your work resist? Or what do you want to resist? Find an ally, craft a plan, collaborate like Joy and Amanda found each other at this conference. Do that while you're here. And if you do that and find us during the conference, then what?
Get a shirt.
You get a shirt.
Yes.
If you want a shirt, you get a shirt. So there's your homework. And we'll leave you with this.
Yes. Parting words from our good friend Apurva. Apurva.
There.
Resistance is hope. Open is resistance.
So with that, we will turn it over to you. We got a question back here. You find us.
You got to come find us.
Yeah, you have to come find us. You have to come find us.
Yes.
Tell us what your plan is to resist.
Yes.
And so now we've still got a few minutes, I think, to hear from you here. We've got a runner with a mic. Is that the mic over there? Haley has the mic over there. So
Okay.
we would like to hear, and Annika has a mic over there. So we would like to hear from you how you are resisting, what you are resisting, and what you're going to do about
And
the poly crisis.
those who are online, if you want to type your contributions into the chat or Q&A, we'll be sure to read those aloud. Someone will.
You got a mic over here.
Oh, I win. Okay.
Go ahead and stand up, please.
Hi, I'm Becky, and I know I'm working to resist ableism in education. I want to make more inclusive materials that not only cater to just different learning types, but to people with neurodivergency like me. I got ADHD and autism, and I know in education, I never felt like I fit in before.
Thank you, Becky. Yes, ableism, neurodivergence, absolutely. Thank you. And Annika, do we have somebody over here?
We do. Hello. Hi, my name is Imani Spence. I'm from the University of Houston, and I've been resisting educational information about reproductive justice by working with Wikipedia edit-a-thons to bring more information about specifically abortion in America, and making those articles translatable into Spanish, which is also a language,
Yes.
freedom, literacy issue. So yeah, I'm excited.
Fantastic.
Excellent.
Thank you. We have more comments over here on the Haley side. No.
Okay.
On the Annika side. And then we'll go to online. Yes.
Hi. Ooh. Trisha Boucher, also from Texas State University. As a state-funded university, DEI has become a dirty word, but we are leaning heavily into inclusion and belonging and using those I'm resisting by turning words into what we can use and using them to explain DEI.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, as Joy said, we recognize that's a challenge. I mean, we are very, very privileged in California to be able to do certain things.
Mhm.
Is there do we have questions online? We have an online hand. How do we handle the online comments?
Yes, so we have one from Audrey Cross. saying, I think listening to students is the best way to resist this, especially if you have diverse students. The diversity is baked in.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Students, and boy, that goes to the heart of open pedagogy. Absolutely. Other comments?
Hi, my name is Shantine Deputy from Northland Pioneer College in Arizona. And something that really resonated with me during your presentation. So I work with 3 tribal nations, and this is my first semester teaching college success in a holistic approach. And I haven't developed an OER or pulled and reused OER textbook, and I've really been struggling to connect with my students using the textbook that we have now. And so this idea for the master's tools will never dismantle the master's house. They may allow us temporarily to beat him at his own game, but they will never enable us to bring about genuine change. Really just struck a chord with me. I really appreciate that. And it's going to really motivate me to really change up the way I'm teaching those skills to first generation students. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Have more comments from the audience. We have a lot of great ideas already of people, the way people are resisting. We've got a comment here in the middle. So take note of who's sharing these ideas and find them, craft a plan, then come find us and you get a shirt. Okay.
My name is Morgan Briles. I'm at the University of Oklahoma. For those who don't know, there are 39 federally recognized tribes in the state of Oklahoma. So Native students are a large portion of our student body. I am working with our Native American Studies liaison to do a survey of text with an Indigenous perspective so we can start making those students feel like they belong. Similar to Texas, we are focusing on belonging since DEI is a dirty word. But I'm very excited and very inspired by this presentation.
Well, thank you. We are inspired by you. Any more comments? One more comment over here, or a couple more comments on this side. Annika's mic died.
We have a virtual question. Oh, I got it.
Oh,
Thank you.
no.
I am Dominique Sheffield-Dunon from York University, Toronto, Canada. And I am making a call for action to actually resist the monolingual aspect of open education. In my universities, there is 170 languages spoken by students. Therefore, we need to translate, reuse any OER that exists in all our repositories and have the community adapt them in their different languages if you want to answer the students' special needs and reach them in the language where they learn the best. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Bob Casper from Winter Park, Florida, Rollins College, which is a private liberal arts college. One of the things, I didn't think of this at first because we just do it. We have a small group of instructional designers that meet virtually throughout Central Florida that include the state schools. And we have restrictions in Florida like other states for the state schools that try to quiet them. But at Rollins, we don't have those rules. We're private. We're supported. Our library is very, very active in giving grants to faculty to do all sorts of OER research and uses in their classes. But when we meet with the state schools, we often hear of their struggles to use OER in the ways that we're talking about this morning. So I think we're going to keep on doing that, obviously. But now there's kind of an inspiration behind it. So if you're here, and I'm seeing you virtually from Florida, obviously, I don't know how many people are here from Florida. We're kind of having some struggles right now. There's one. So let's get together and let's talk about how we can make this a more of a thing than just what's coming. Yeah.
Here, here. Awesome.
All right.
Lead the
Thank you.
way. Yeah. Yeah.
We want to take some time to answer some online questions
Oh,
that
yes.
include our virtual attendees. So one is from Michelle. I've been resisting monolingualism in the US, the idea that English is always enough and the only language that counts. I'll be presenting on our work in translating OER lessons on the Sustainable Development Goals tomorrow at 5:30 p.m.
Yes.
From Bridget, we have I resist standardized one-size-fit-all metrics and work to give all students enriching experiences, not just the quote-unquote gifted students. I also resist the division of curriculum into silos and look to blend and add context. I resist big textbook companies and have policy changed here to require OER review of options first.
Here, here.
Marilyn Billings from Massachusetts, representing the Rotel project, which is remixing open textbooks with an equity lens, funded for the past 3 years. Encourage you to check online, but we've been working with faculty, educating them about equity and inclusiveness for all that time, and have at least like 17 new textbooks out there, some with which are general education. So the person who was talking about that might grab that one. And it's been wicked exciting, just to say. From my rain roots, it's just been wicked, so much fun. Love it. And I see members of my publishing support team here. We're talking tomorrow. So feel free to join us there, 11 o'clock. Today, we have a faculty member talking at 3.
Thank you, Marilyn.
Hi, everyone. My name is Marissa Martinez, and I am with the Michelson 20MM Foundation. We're a sponsor of this event. And we are resisting by building student power and building the capacity of students to organize on their campuses in the California higher education system. And I have 2 textbook affordability fellows from our foundation on either side of me. Who are doing really amazing work at their campuses and their institutions to fight against automatic textbook billing and textbook publishers. So
Yes.
I'll pass the mic over real quick to one of our fellows, Katie, so she can talk about the work she's doing.
Yeah, I've been resisting the idea of profit over students by focusing on having student involvement and the idea of textbook affordability, and really pushing the idea that automatic textbook billing isn't great for students, and students shouldn't be paying extra when they can be getting better, more equitable resources for free. So yeah.
Yeah. Here, here.
Hey all, I'm Lance Eaton from College Unbound here in Providence, and one way we've been resisting is really leaning into open pedagogy as a means for students to be deeply involved, both in not just getting their education, but having an impact on the institution and developing policies. So we started about 1.5 years ago of courses where the outcome isn't just the students are learning and getting their grades, but the tangible outcome, a tangible outcome is them changing institutional policy so that the college actually more reflects our students who, as a majority minority serving institution, is absolutely important and essential for our adult students.
Awesome.
Great.
Hi, everyone. Kurt Newton from MIT. I just wanted to lift up in this room and in this community how rich the collaboration energy is, people working across organizations and institutions, and the simple act of when you feel you don't have time to slow down enough to reach out to somebody that you don't know, to take the time to do that is an act of resistance in itself. And I think it's so important to all of the work that we're doing here. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Kurt.
Hello, I'm Heather Crane. I'm from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in Daytona Beach, Florida. So shout out to the Florida over there too. We recently saw a huge outcry from students about the expensive homework softwares that they're being forced to buy to be able to do their homework. So I'm resisting basically taking advantage of students and forcing them to pay to be able to do their homework.
Yes. Over here. Okay.
Hi, I'm Dan Rockwell from Western Oregon University. I use he, they pronouns. And my question is, I've become aware that our campus-owned bookstore is going to be replaced by a Barnes & Noble-owned bookstore. What can I do to resist, and what are the challenges that are in front of us?
Well, I'm sure you'll have a lot of folks come up and offer you plenty of advice. I think I'll just say number one advice is make sure you're on the committee that reviews the bookstore contract. But yeah, everybody, bookstore wisdom over here. Yes.
Hi, everybody. My name is Tanya Howe. I am from George Mason University, a former teacher of the humanities at a private liberal arts institution that canceled all of their humanities. So a little bit of backstory, but I just wanted to advocate for a place of resistance in your rank and tenure committees because infrastructure matters. And I think that's really important. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, doing OER or open work is scholarship. Yes.
Thanks. I'm Rajiv Jangiani from Brock University in Canada. Lots of academic activism in my work, but the point of resistance I want to point to right now is what several people in the room are doing. Virginia Clinton Lascelle, where are you? Beck Pitt, where are you? You can wave your hands around. And I'm part of this group, but what we try to do is provide a space where graduate students can receive training, mentorship, support to focus their work in this space, receive the kinds of supports they wouldn't receive with the way that the academic currents tend to go. But whether it's right from embracing open science practices to understanding the importance of open access at this early stage of their journey into the professoriate, this is a critical part of our community and one that I think has many, many places where you can go now as a graduate student. So again, Virginia, if you're around, wave your hand. On that side of the room, Beck Pitt, I see over here from the Global OER Graduate Network as well, and come talk to any of us if you're interested in doing that kind of work or expanding it.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you, Rajiv.
Hi, I'm Catherine Kire. I'm from South Africa. I'm the chapter lead of Creative Commons there. I work both in K-12. We are, one of the things I've got to talk soon, we're talking about resisting. Our copyright law is literally an apartheid era. It goes back to 1978, and we've had an almost 2-decade challenge to try and change it because it is very limiting. Also, tax legislation to make tax-deductible donations required to make OER. I've also been involved with the Commonwealth of Learning at the Namibia University in terms of putting OER policy. Despite the Cape Town Declaration, where our universities are very aware, in your K-12, there's not much happening, or thanks to UNESCO, there's a lot of challenges. There are only 4 of us with the CC licensing, and there's been a lot of capacity building and education within the K-12 environment that I've been fortunate to get funding from Siemens Stiftung to do. So there's a lot of advocacy all over the place.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Tanya. When I started the open education work in my state way back in 2011, I dreamed of resisting a future where my kids and yours, they were like this big at the time, would have to pay high cost for textbooks and continue learning the way I was taught. And today, my son's teacher is here. It's all the things I dreamed of. Not every teacher in his college adopted open textbooks in my state, but there's one and he's here and I'm so grateful. And so thank you to Michael Tomanek.
Okay, I think we got time for one last one, I think.
Hi all, my name's Haley Norris. I'm from Indiana University. So a way that I'm resisting is actually using OER to simulate the same community interaction and community learning that a lot of like BIPOC kids get. So I know like a lot of the stuff I learned growing up, I got from like my aunties and like other people in my life. So I'm trying to figure out and look into research of ways that OER can do that as a replication, sort of an extension on community as rebellion. If you haven't read the book, you should read the book. It's really awesome. But yeah, so using community as a way to resist as well, and using the way that we can revise and edit OER as a way to build that community, especially if you're in states that don't necessarily like the word DEI. Indiana is not one of those states. They do not like it at all. So that way you can like sort of replicate the community that may no longer exist in those classrooms.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So, wow. Resistance is alive and well, I think, in OpenEd24. If you would like a t-shirt, find a friend, find an ally, craft a plan, then come and tell us what you're going to do. And we've got t-shirts for you. And with that, we'll just say thank you again for having us. Thank you.